Hey Canucks fans, the Canucks split their split squad games last night and a closer look at Brock Boeser's new contract. I'm Clay Emo, I'm at Canuck Clay on Twitter, I'm at Clay Emo on Instagram, I'm the founder at the GLCPC, the Good Looking Canucks Positivity Club, and it's my Canucks take, all in one take. It's Clay's Canucks commentary for Tuesday, September the 17th. The Canucks went 1-1 last night. They won in Calgary and they lost in Victoria. And traditionally, when you do these split squad games, and they're playing against Calgary last night, obviously that's why they're playing in Calgary, you generally keep your stronger team at home. A chance to sell tickets, a chance for your home fans to see more of your best players. And then you send your weaker team on the road. So logic would dictate that the home team should win and the away team should lose. Of course, it's preseason and logic gets thrown out the window because line combinations, deep pairings, nothing like we'd likely see when the season starts. So sure enough, Vancouver wins their away game in Calgary, but they lose their home game in Victoria. And both games were similar in the fact that they fell behind 4-0 in the home game, 2-0 in the away game. In the away game, it was Jake Virtanen leading the way, scoring the game-tying goal in the third period, and then a wonderful overtime goal on a 2-on-1, showing a lot of poise, a lot of patience, and a great shot. And obviously, he's not worried so much about the Group C demotion from day one of training camp, looking forward to putting a stamp on the team and earning one of those bottom 6 spots. So Jake Virtanen was a standout in Calgary. Also, Richard Bachman played very well in shutting the door, and that was good. So that was a good showing in Calgary against a very much stronger Calgary lineup than Calgary sent to Victoria. So by nature, by logic, by naturally, you think that the Vancouver Canucks with a stronger home team in Victoria should win that game. But no, they lost. They actually lost 4-3. A spirited comeback with a couple goals in the last few minutes, but it was all for naught. But a couple things, I didn't watch the whole game, but I did watch enough highlights and I skimmed through the game. Was very impressed by JT Miller. Very noticeable, and we knew that he had good speed for a guy his size, but he made a great pass to Bo Horvat on that third Canucks goal, sees the ice really well, retrieves pucks really well. I think he's gonna be a wonderful addition. It sounds like Horvat is really excited that Miller will likely be his line mate to start the season. So I was impressed by JT Miller. I was actually impressed by Brogan Rafferty and Josh Tevez a little bit. Josh Tevez scored the second Canucks goal, and Rafferty got better, had a horrible drop pass on an early power play, but aside from that, got better as the game went on. And these two NCAA signings, signed at the end of last season, I could see them being a future third pairing for the team 3-4 years down the road with some more seasoning. So I thought they had a good game. Rafferty, very confident with the puck, great skater, and I think we have a gem in him. And I know in talking to some people from the organization, they were very high on Rafferty when they signed him at the end of last season. So no Pettersson, no Hughes. We expect to see them tonight when the Vancouver Canucks host the Edmonton Oilers at Rogers Arena, bringing both teams back together, and it'll be interesting to see what kind of lineup they ice tonight. I'll likely get to one preseason game next Thursday against the Arizona Coyotes on Thursday, September the 26th. When it gets to the regular season, I've come up with a way that I'm going to do my game reviews. I'm going to do it only in 2 minutes or so, so I can post them both on YouTube and on Twitter, but I already have the format, but I'm going to save that for the regular season. Also, if you follow me on Twitter, I'm the master of the haiku, the 575, the 17-syllable creation, and I do one every game at the end of the game, sometimes during the game, but generally one at there every game. And this year, as I tweeted last night, got some love. People don't care about this kind of thing, but I'll be dedicating my post-game haiku to a different follower every game. So that should be a lot of fun, even if the people that I dedicate it to don't care or don't want that dedication. And I started off last night by dedicating my video to David Quadrelli of the Canuck Way. Okay, let's talk about Brock Boeser's contract. Last night when the news broke, I was just sitting down for our birthday dinner for Jacob. He turned 16 yesterday. Thanks for the greetings, by the way. And I excused myself for about 10 minutes so I could go record the vlog. And I admit I was pretty excited. All Canucks fans were excited. We were very impressed with the 5.875 AAV, the average annual value. And I recorded that video before the breakdown of the contract came out. So let's talk about the contract now. So it's 3 years. We know that. Brock Boeser's played 3 professional seasons. It was 2 when you count for UFA, RFA. So we were scared about a 5-year contract because 2 + 5 means 7. Then he'd be a UFA at the end of that. Thankfully, it's only 3. And 3 years, it's not as good as 6, 7, or 8 years. But if you wanted to do 6, 7, or 8 years, take him into UFA already, buy some of that UFA time, then you're gonna have to pay a lot more. And it sounds like that's the way people were hoping for at the start of the summer, but as negotiations went on, it became clearer and clearer that it was gonna be a short-term bridge deal, and that's where Brock Boeser's camp, and that's where Jim Benning found more common ground on the short-term deal. So if it's 6 or 7 or 8, if it's not 6, 7, or 8, you certainly don't want it to be 5. 4 almost as bad as 5, and that'll be 4 years plus a 1-year qualifying offer, and they simply have to accept that qualifying offer, don't negotiate anymore, and then boom, there's basically 4 plus 1, 5, take him to UFA status. So 5 was bad, 4 was bad, so 3 isn't bad, all things considered. Here's why it's not bad. Firstly, the actual cap hit per season, under $6 million, very, very good, very, very manageable, and helps the Canucks right now. That puts them just under Louis Eriksson at $6 million, just under Tyler Myers and Alex Edler at $6 million, and just ahead of Bo Horvat at 5.5 and JT Miller at 5.25. So Brock Boeser, one thing I was worried about was would he try and get 6.5, and basically I wasn't worried about the Eriksson comparison, but I was worried about the Bo Horvat comparison a little bit. I think Horvat's very unselfish, very humble. Of course, you want to be paid well, but Horvat's contract was signed 2 years ago. It was a wonderful deal in September 2017. It was 6 years at $5.5 million, which is awesome. I think it started to look like a bargain this season, last season. It's going to look like more and more of a bargain as we see these RFA contracts start to fall. And Horvat, I think, outplayed everyone's expectations last year and will continue to do so, especially playing with a guy like JT Miller. So we had Horvat's contract 2 years ago, $5.5 million. Boeser comes in just above that at $5.875 million, and that translates to 17,682.5 or something, 17, just under 18,000 for the 3 years. So on a year-per-year basis, cap hit under $6 million, that's a win. Full stop, end of story. People are happy with that. Let's talk about how that money is broken down, and then let's talk about what's going to happen at the end of those 3 years. So the money is broken down like this. To make that $5.875 million average over 3 years, it's actually $4 million for the first year, 6.125 for the second year, and 7.5 for the third year. So again, 4, 6.125, and then 7.5. Why is that? That adds up to and you divide it by 3, that adds up to the $5.875 million a year. Why is that important? It's important because of this. The way contracts work, the fact that Brock Boeser will still be an RFA, a restricted free agent, that means at the end of this 3-year contract, the Canucks have to give him what you call a qualifying offer. If you do not give that qualifying offer, he becomes a UFA, and that would be silly, that would be stupid, right? So the Canucks are going to give him a qualifying offer, and because his contract is worth so much, it has to be 100% of his last year of his contract. So the Vancouver Canucks qualifying offer to Brock Boeser at the end of this contract will be $7.5 million. And that, all we have to really consider about that is that's going to be the starting point, because Boeser will likely reject the qualifying offer, which is fine. That's what most RFAs do. And then you start negotiating, or you continue to negotiate, and then you can come up with any other contract outside of that 1 year, $7.5 million. If Boeser somehow wants to accept that $7.5 million, I don't think that's in his best interest, because he's likely going to be worth a lot more than that, especially 3 years from now. You just think of what Pettersson and Hughes are going to sign for the year prior to that. And the way that the expansion, with Seattle, the new TV deal, maybe bigger salary cap, it makes sense that Boeser does not accept that qualifying offer, but we can worry about that later. The Canucks have to tender him one to retain the rights to negotiate. Then it's up to Boeser's camp. They'll likely reject it. Reject's such a negative word, strong word, but it just simply means that they can continue to negotiate. And the hope for at that time is obviously the Canucks can sign him to a long-term deal, whether that's another, from there, 5, 6, 7, 8 years, and keep him for the prime of his career when he comes into his late 20s, so to speak. So 7.5 is fine, and the way that the contract escalates is fine. It's the same thing for Timo Meier, the same thing for Zach Werenski, the same thing for Charlie McAvoy. We're seeing all these RFA contracts, short-term, 3-4 years, be like this. A smaller amount at the start to a bigger amount at the end, because of all these guys are in the same situation. The qualifying offer has to be 100% of that final year's contract. So 7.5 million, you can probably project at 3 years from now, Boeser's going to be a lot more, worth more than that. So, but 7.5 will be the starting point. I think that's the most important thing to consider and to remember in this. Now, Boeser, by only signing for 3 years, he's got a chance to really up his value. And playing with Elias Pettersson for 3 years, maybe he becomes a 40 goal scorer, a 70, 80 point guy. So by the time we come to this point, 3 years from now, maybe, and depending on where salaries are going, maybe Boeser becomes an $8 million player, a $9 million player, a $10 million player. We'll see what happens in 3 years, but that's the point. That's why Boeser's camp won. The short-term deal is it's guaranteed money for 3 years. Sure, you take a little bit less than if you took per year than if you signed a long-term deal now, but you have the potential to earn way more. So this is obviously an advantage to the player. It does give the Canucks some cost certainty for the next 3 years, And then when Boeser, it's time to redo his next contract, his third contract, the Canucks landscape of their contracts can be a lot different. Louis Eriksson will be off the books. Alex Edler will be off the books. Brandon Sutter will be off the books. Also guys like Barachi, Pearson. In fact, when it's time for Boeser's new deal, Canucks are only gonna have 4 players under contract as of now. And that's Bo Horvat at 5.5, JT Miller at 5.25, Tyler Myers at $6 million, and then I'm missing one guy. I know there are 4 that I was thinking about, but I'm somehow missing one. But I know it was, Michael Ferland for $3.5 million. So only 4 guys. Obviously, Elias Pettersson's gonna be a part of that with a massive deal, likely. Quinn Hughes is gonna be a part of that. Guys like Thatcher Demko, maybe Jake Virtanen, Ole Juolevi. We can speculate about that later, but the Canucks will have to worry about that later in 3 years. I'm not worried that it's gonna be a tricky situation, but I don't think it's unmanageable. And we've seen that with this short-term deal, Jim Benning is smart enough, creative enough to create a space where the salary cap isn't an issue this season. If they have to go into LTIR with Roussel's injury, they can, but they don't have to, depending on who they send down and if they make any trades. So the salary cap is not really an issue for this season, but it'll be something that will always be in the back of our mind over the next 3 seasons. So I think those are the main things to remember. And then lastly, to finish that thought off with respect to the contracts, is when you look at the way so Quinn Hughes and Elias Pettersson will negotiate their contracts in the summer of 2021, right? 2 seasons from now. And then Brock Boeser will have to do his new contract in the summer of 2022, 3 seasons from now, and then Bo Horvat will have to do his contract in the summer 2023, 4 seasons from now. So of your big 4, you have them lined up, at least not on the same season. You have Pettersson and Hughes first as they come off their ELC entry-level contract. Then you have Brock Boeser at the end of his 3, and then you have Bo Horvat still got 4 more in his 6-year contract. Well, Canucks fans, I hope that makes a lot of sense. I think the big thing to note is the reason why there's such a discrepancy in the 3 years, the 3 different dollar values of Brock Boeser's contract, has everything to do with how it sets him up for his 3rd contract, the one that the Canucks will hopefully be able to sign him to long-term. Brock Boeser, the ball's in his court for the next 3 seasons to up his value to a place where they start off negotiating at a number likely way higher than $7.5 million 3 years from now. All right, Canucks fans, we'd love to hear your reaction. You can talk about the 2 games last night if you watched them, if you care about preseason hockey. Do you agree with me that Virtanen looked good, Bachman looked good, Rafferty looked good, Bo Horvat, JT Miller? Tell me about your observations from the game. And let's also talk about this Brock Boeser contract. Do you like the way it's set up? Do you like the fact that it's only 3 years? Do you like the way it gives the Canucks some flexibility? Do you like the way it gives Brock Boeser all the incentive to up his value by the time his new contract needs to be negotiated? Lots of things to talk about. It's exciting time. It's because it's preseason time. Canucks and Edmonton tonight, and then started getting through the preseason. And now we're just about 2 weeks and 1 day away from the start of the regular season on October the 2nd. I'm excited for this season. I hope you are too. And thank you for following along, watching, taking the time to watch these vlogs. I never take it for granted, and I do appreciate you. All right, Canucks fans, leave a comment below. I love to read, react, and reply as always. Subscribe if you like to, like this video if you like to. Enjoy the day. God bless. Go Canucks, go.